Long ago, there was a monkey born of stone who became a king and a fierce warrior. His name was Sun Wukong. The legends tell of how he wreaked havoc across all the heavens, and centuries later, he was tasked to journey west with a Buddhist monk and a few other companions. It is a story that is widely known, but today, Destined Ones, marks the beginning of another tale, one that begins at the end of the first. Yo, what's going on, everybody? It's your boy, Los Angeles Havoc, aka Tato, the one and only High Priest of the congregation. Welcome back to another installment of Tato Clips, where we've got a little bit of everything. Now, Destined Ones, today we are going to be discussing general tips and tricks to help you begin your journey through Black Myth Wukong, an all-new action-adventure epic from Game Science. There's a lot this game doesn't tell you when you first start out, and the goal of this video is to give you some solid footing to land on when you jump in. Be sure to stay tuned until the end of the video for some recommendations on what you should try first. Now, to get started, first we need to go over the 3 items that you will always want to keep your eye on while you're playing: your health, mana, and stamina bars. These are located at the bottom left of your screen. Health can be replenished by using your gourd, which I will explain a bit more in a few moments. Stamina depletes while attacking, sprinting, etc. And mana is spent when you're utilizing your spells, which we'll also go over a bit later in the video. Health, mana, and stamina, and some other status items can be upgraded through celestial medicines that can be found throughout the world, and also can be crafted by Shoe Dog, an NPC that you meet in Chapter 2. Do note that there are almost no ways to recover mana early on, so you'll want to be intentional when you're using your spells throughout Chapters 1 and 2. Next, let's talk about will, and what makes it important. As they say, where there is a will, there is a way. And Black Myth Wukong ironically makes really good use of that expression with its general currency. As you go through the game, you'll acquire will by defeating enemies, harvesting materials, etc. Will can then be exchanged at shops and with vendors in order to purchase items, upgrades, and more. You'll be glad to know that unlike with other games that are similar, will is not lost upon death. Rest assured, you don't have to worry while traversing a more challenging area of the game while also hoarding a massive amount of will for fear that it will all be lost at the first misstep. Now that we've covered will, we'll be talking about your health, more specifically, your gourd. That said, you'll want to become very acquainted with your gourd as it's this game's main healing resource. There's an icon for it adjacent to your health bar that shows how many uses you have left, and in the beginning, you start out with the old gourd, which comes with 4 uses. Over time, the gourd can be upgraded to give you more uses, and you can also acquire other gourds as well as you explore the world. Each gourd you find can have different gameplay benefits such as resistances and buffs. Be sure to pay close attention when acquiring them in order to determine which may be the best fit for your playstyle in any given situation. Piggybacking off of the conversation about gourds, another element to that system is the drinks and soaks. Drinks add additional effects to your gourd upon use, while soaks also modify these effects. You start with the coconut wine drink, which allows each sip of the gourd to restore 33% of your maximum health, and just like the gourd itself, you'll want to take note of the different drinks and soaks you'll find throughout your journey in order to find the effective combinations that suit your playstyle. Some drinks can be upgraded as well to enhance their potency. You actually encounter the NPC that handles gourd and drink upgrades very early on in Chapter 1. Shen Monkey will be cowering in a tree from a snake patroller enemy as you make your way through the Marsh of the White Mist. Make sure that you speak with him. He won't be of much use in the beginning, but you'll be able to return to him throughout your playthrough to acquire new gourds and purchase upgrades for them, etc. This game's checkpoint and fast travel system is set up via the various keeper shrines that you find throughout your journey. Some areas have quite a few as you go further along in the game, and they provide a multitude of conveniences. Not only can you rest at a keeper shrine to completely replenish your health, mana, chi, etc. At the start of each chapter, the shrine will have a small stock of items and upgrade materials that you can purchase with will. The items included will often tie into the challenges that you'll be facing throughout this particular chapter, so I highly recommend stocking up as frequently as possible. Also, you can craft weapons and armor, brew drinks and soaks, and also you can respec your builds at a keeper shrine as well. Speaking of respecs, next up we're going to talk about leveling up and upgrades. As you gain experience, which is separate from will, you will level up. Each time you level up, you will gain a spark. Sparks can also be earned by discovering meditation spots, completing chapters, etc. When you have sparks, the game's menu will indicate the Self-Advance tab, which will bring you to the skill trees available to you. More options will unlock as you advance through the game, and there are 6 primary skill trees in total that branch out into different sections: Foundation, Staff Stances, Mysticism, Alteration, Strand, and Transformations. Don't worry too much about how you allocate your sparks. As I mentioned previously, the Keeper Shrines will allow you to reset and respec your sparks in case you find yourself needing to reinvest them differently for a particular encounter. And now that we've talked about sparks and upgrades, naturally, we should discuss combat next. Combat in Black Myth comes down to your staff. As you go through the game, you will be able to unlock different staves, each with different benefits and utility. Unfortunately, outside of their base stats, none of them can be further upgraded, and so you essentially just unlock them and swap them as needed. That said, the more intricate part about combat comes down to your staff stances and focus points. Each stance has what's called varied combos, which is a mix of light attacks and heavy attacks. Heavy attacks can be charged up, and the more focus points you have unlocked, the more powerful the charge attack will be. Some varied combos have the ability to completely stagger and stun lock enemies, including bosses, to the point where they can be eliminated with ease. Charged heavy attacks are also a great way to chunk off health. Focus points charge when doing damage, and certain armor pieces can also allow focus to be granted upon the use of medicines and gourd use. There are 3 staff stances in total. There is the Smash stance, the Pillar stance, and the Thrust stance. Smash stance is your all-around aggressive, right on the offensive attack build. Thrust stance kind of works in the alternative. It does allow you to get in close, but then also allows you to back away and attack from a distance. Pillar stance is the outlier. It is mostly about survivability and attacking from range. The heavy attack allows you to perch atop of your staff, and as you charge up focus points, you go higher and higher. And as you upgrade the stance a bit more, you get the option of when your stamina depletes, it automatically goes into the heavy attack. Next, we're going to discuss spells and transformations. There are 4 total kinds of spells that you will unlock throughout your playthrough: Mysticism, Alteration, Transformation, and Strand. By the end of Chapter 1, you will have acquired an ability from the first 3. You'll get Immobilize, which freezes enemies in place for a short time; Cloud Step, which conceals your presence temporarily, allowing you to execute a powerful sneak attack on unsuspecting enemies; and the Red Tides transformation. This transformation allows you to take the form of Guangxi, one of the earlier bosses that you face, and it'll allow you to attack with his Fire Glaive, which actually has the potential to inflict Scorch upon enemies. As you unlock more spells and transformations, you'll find yourself diversifying your build as you continue your adventure. Every enemy and situation calls for something different. Some spells even need to be used to progress side quests. Spells and transformations, as mentioned earlier, can also be upgraded with sparks. Of course, it just depends on what kind of setup you're looking to lean into. And finally, we need to talk about spirits and vessels. After the first boss fight of Chapter 1 in Guanyin Temple, you'll progress through to the Bamboo Grove. Going through that area, you'll come upon an NPC that grants your gourd a blessing. This interaction is what will allow you to absorb spirits. Certain bosses and enemy variations, once defeated, will become spirits that can be absorbed and then equipped as a one-shot special attack that utilizes chi to execute. By the time you meet this NPC, you may have actually encountered the Wandering White mini-boss. If you defeat it, make sure to head back to a Keeper's Shrine once your gourd has received the blessing in order to retrieve the spirit and equip it. Spirits, in addition to being a special attack, also have a passive bonus that activates while equipped. For example, equipping the Wandering White Spirit provides a moderate defense boost, which is great considering the early challenges of the game. Vessels are another mechanic that use chi. The first one can be acquired through completing a secret quest in Chapter 1. Vessels have a ton of utility and are very much worth seeking out. Now, to those of you that have made it this far, thank you so much for watching. As promised, I have some general recommendations that you will want to take note of first thing. Number 1, you should be able to get to 6 sparks by the time you clear the first 2 areas before getting to Guangxi. Invest 3 sparks into Rampant Vigor in the survival section of the Foundation skill tree. This will allow your stamina to increase with each level up. Use the rest of your sparks to unlock Pillar Stance and upgrade Staff Stance so you get to 2 focus points. This will allow you to charge your heavy attack up to 2 times before unleashing it, which will allow you to do more damage, and you will want the pillar stance unlocked when you're facing White Clad Noble, where fighting him at range puts you at an advantage. Second, if you gain any additional sparks between the first 2 areas in Guanyin Temple, I recommend putting some sparks into Robust Constitution, which will increase your health more with each level up, and also try to unlock Skyfall Strike for Smash Dance, which when you have 2 focus points, you can execute 2 heavy attacks at the end of a varied combo to deal even more damage. Third, it will be a labor of love, but do try and take out the Wandering White early. I was able to do it hitless on a fresh playthrough following a guide from Aiming for Gaming. While of course hitless is not a prerequisite, and honestly I kind of did it for shits and gigs, the guide does give some great tips on how to stagger and stun lock Wandering White, so taking it out is pretty easy. I'll link that guide and my video using it in the description of this video for reference. As I mentioned earlier, you can visit a Keeper's Shrine once your gourd is blessed in order to obtain its spirit, and it is easily one of, if not the most powerful early game spirit that you can unlock. Again, the equipped effect gives you a considerable boost to defense, which will be well worth it when you encounter the first main boss of Chapter 1. Lastly, transformations cost no mana, and they have their own individual health bar. Do not be afraid to use transformations in order to preserve health and gourd uses if you're facing a tough boss or enemy group. Spells can be refreshed when resting at a Keeper's Shrine, and even in the midst of a tough fight, it does have a cooldown, so it is possible to do more than one. Now, while I plan to go into further detail on many of the items touched on in this video, these were all the things I felt important to explain so you have a better understanding if you're jumping into the game for the first time. But Destined Ones, this is where I leave you for now. If you enjoyed this video or found it helpful, please let me know in the comments, or at bare minimum, just give me a like. It's a little bit, but it does go a long way in terms of helping the channel grow, and I greatly appreciate it. If you want to see more content like this, you enjoy what I do on the channel, just want to stick around, be sure to hit the subscribe button and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next video. My name is Lost Angel of Havoc. Thank you for watching Late Tato Clips. We will see you next time, friends. Same late time, same late channel.